Can I nominate an American to get his smile back?
Yeah.
His name is Psycho Stu. I pay for that out of my pocket.
Yeah,
You the man.
no problem. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I'm waiting for him to call me back.
Okay, sure thing. Just let me know.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Millennial Smark, and I'm bringing you the slop, the whole slop, and nothing but the slop. Timestamps are located down in the description box below, or if your sorry ass is too lazy to scroll up to the description box, using your fingers for 2 seconds, other than, what typically takes you 2 seconds to finish, you can also go down to the pinned comment section below and click on the timestamps via that. So, topics for today. Apparently, Ava Raine has pissed off a bunch of wrestling fans because of her stupid ass comments. A fan wishes death on JD, kind of similar to the Ava Raine situation, but in a different manner. Giovanni Vinci goes complete schizo based off of the situation with Charlie Kirk, and Kyle Fletcher finally gives his take on Steven Richards critiquing him. So without further ado, let's kick it off with The Rock's daughter. Right, so we kick it off with apparently the headline news of this, which is, it's so unfortunate because this culture nowadays, as far as how people really take feelings and emotions and just put it over basic dignity, or they try to frame feelings and emotions as being dignity in itself, it's so disgusting. It's so disgusting. So this guy, Kefas, he ended up reposting Instagram repost from Ava, the NXT GM, The Rock's daughter, where this person notated saying, if you want people to have kind words when you pass, you should say kind words when you're alive. That's what Ava reposted this person saying, which is obviously in reflection to Charlie Kirk's death and the people who are celebrating his death. And it's the Hulk Hogan situation all over again, where people, they just, like, the lack of morality from, and I'm seeing it, like, it's not the older people, at least not the vast majority. I feel like it's all the younger people, man. And it's like this culture of just being so fucking online, it's nauseating. It's nauseating. It's like these people don't have legitimate relationships, whether with family, whether with boyfriends or girlfriends, whether they're married. They don't have any of this. They're stuck online. They're stuck in these communities. They're stuck in these groups. They're stuck in these echo chambers. And it's like a basic disagreement with them is an actual reflection of actually saying that they themselves don't exist. And it's such a mental illness, bro, at this point, to see how these people actually reflect off of this. Like, you sit here and you say hard kind words when you like that should just be the status quo for people who aren't gravely immoral, universally gravely immoral. That should not be for people who didn't do anything to you. Like I said yesterday, these people are so linked up with their identities that they actually believe that the ends justify the means, right? Like, if you go after something that they can use in order to get ahead in life, right? No matter if it's good, no matter if it's bad. It's very similar to how I seen what was it, a couple of weeks ago when I went to a Family Dollar, right? And it was this person, he was stealing, and he was running out the store with a bunch of stuff. This happened just probably back in July, maybe, right? And when he's running out of the store, one of the co-workers at the store, they tried to stop him, right? And people are telling the co-worker to stop, which they're right. The co-worker should not be chasing after that criminal, because that criminal, you don't know what they will do in order to get what they want. But they're stealing. They're stealing. You're inadvertently letting the thief get away, which is enabling other people to do the same thing, and it creates a pattern. And it's like, we live in a culture nowadays where it's like we're enabling the acts of evil just because the victim wants it. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. That's why Ava is getting the hate that she's getting right now. Because you go watch Charlie Kirk's debates. He didn't say anything that deserved death. He didn't say anything that was objectively mean. It's just mean because it harms your specific identity, what he's saying. And even then, kind words or mean words, regardless of what you want to say, does not equate to someone dying. It should not equate to someone having to lose their life. And then to make matters even worse, she went out of her way and she doubled down. She got all this heat, right? Everybody went after her and she actively doubled down. That's the harsh part about it. Look, check this out. She actually went back to the person's post and she said, "And I'll stand behind this. Be kind. No more than ever." Like, she doesn't even believe this. Because if you actually believe this, what is kind about the people celebrating someone's death, Ava? Huh? What is kind about that? Huh? What if someone went out of their way, God forbid, after the situation that happened with your dad and Oprah a couple of years ago with the Hawaii stuff, right? What if someone went out of their way and they ended up assassinating Rock because they felt that they were wronged in some kind of way? Would you feel like if someone celebrated that because they were affected by that, that'd be the nice thing to do? Huh? Would that be the way to go, Ava? You know, it's this comfortability that I'm sick and tired of. Also, how you personally not being affected by the situation means that you can say whatever the hell you feel like because you're not affected by it. Like, that's another frustrating thing that I'm seeing a lot with the younger generation. And like I said, it's not only the younger generation, but I'm saying the majority of the younger generation. Like, I just seen Charlie Kirk's wife hold like a rosary or something. I think it was a rosary out of a window with her mouth covered and shades on, bruh. This man just had his son. His son was 1. His daughter's 3, bro. No matter how you feel about his politics, there is no kind words that needs to be necessitated to avoid a death. There doesn't need to be kind words to commemorate someone's death. I'll do you one better. You don't want to say kind words? Then just don't say anything at all. You can do that too. You can do that too. You're not holding anyone accountable. All you're doing is enabling more people to feel justified to do what they're doing, which is evil. It's evil, Ava, what you're doing. Indirectly, but nevertheless, it is evil. And you have people in the comment section justifying it, saying he said this about the trans community. Him saying that girls are girls and boys are boys. If you feel like that's affecting you in some way where you have to go out of your way to assassinate somebody, in what way does it not scream mental illness? How does that not scream mental illness to you? He called me a boy when I'm actually a girl, therefore I need to go do something about that? And my last thing about this topic also, you say kind words, but kind words for what reason? To avoid what, Ava? To avoid what? Kind words to avoid people going after him? What about them? What about them? Why do people need to be nice to avoid other people being violent? How about the people being violent stop being violent, especially for irrational reasons? But like I said, when it comes to the younger generation, it's all about emotions. It's all about feelings.
Man, that's it.
The best lemonade ever!
I got my homegirl with me. I
Girlfriend?
got my brother pulled up on me.
So JD posted this in commemoration of the situation that happened. Today, we seen a man assassinated all over social media in front of his wife and kids because he believed what he preached while giving everyone he encountered an opportunity to speak to him like a human being, no matter what their opinion was and how against him people were. He was a man of God and one with the church, 31 years old with 2 children and a wife. This is the death you are celebrating. A man can't speak his opinion today and now must fear for his life because he thinks a certain way that people might not like. We as a people should be ashamed of ourselves, and we don't deserve the life that God has given us if this is the way we decided to use our time here. That's all I'll say. And that's all JD actually had to say. Most normal people will look at what he said, take that, and just say, yeah, common sense, logic, right? Well, unfortunately, we live in an era, we live in a time and age where normal is the new abnormal. Because this psychopath ended up responding to JD by saying this: remember this when people disagree with your shitty takes, or practice what you preach. Now, if you know JD, you do not hear him speak on politics. If you know JD, you do not hear him speak on controversial issues that are surrounding the world. What this guy is talking about when JD is referencing Charlie Kirk and his situation is that JD's takes as far as wrestling is concerned can get him in a world of trouble. He's calling JD a hypocrite because he disagrees with him on wrestling when JD is talking about a real life situation. But you listen to people like Ava, she says, be kind, say kind words. Now we're talking about this in a wrestling lens. Be kind, say kind words, Ava? When a person can talk ill of a wrestling company, this person can come out of nowhere and say the things that he's saying about JD. He's saying that JD's words can get him murked because of his professional wrestling opinions. This is what I mean when I say these people don't have real life relationships. These people don't have a world outside of the internet. These people don't have a life or a community outside of, so their community is social media. And when you live in that community, when you live in that world, and you're surrounded by fucking sickos and nut jobs all the time, conversating amongst each other, this is what you get. JD did reply though. He said, are you saying I deserve to be slaughtered in front of my family because of my opinion on AEW? Fucking whack job. No, I will not remember it because I've done nothing to lead to that type of result. Once again, this is the environment. This is the environment that's constantly being created when you enable this type of behavior in regards to being kind to people. This is the topic of the day. This is the word of the day. This is the phraseology of the day. However you want to say it, right? The expression, however. Empathy and sympathy is meant for those who give empathy and sympathy. Not for those who just say it and don't really practice it. Like this perverse way of thinking and behaving and thinking that like it's the appropriate type of mannerisms in order to get around the world. It's a sickness, bro. It's a sickness. We have a person who's relating an assassination to professional wrestling opinions. So just don't have opinions at all at that matter. If you're going to take it to its lowest point where a person talking about his wrestling opinions should practice what he's preaching when reflecting off of a murder of a dad in front of his wife and kids, his widow and orphanage kids now, it's sickening. It's sickening. Hopefully this guy reflects off of what the hell he said. Hopefully he looks at what he said. But that's the thing though. These people, they never have time to reflect or look at the things that they say because unfortunately they just go back in their hive mind and they just enable them and just repeat the offenses all over again. They say that what their hive mind, their community suggests that what they say is moral. What they're saying should be the thing to be said in order to go forward because their thought process, their ideology, and their identity, it's all they have. And that's all that keeps them together. And if you tear that away from them, if you offend that, if you affect that in any manner, then by all means, they have to go after you. It's sickening.
Wow. bullet fired at Charlie Kirk is a bullet fired at all of us. There will be no mercy, no diplomacy, and no surrender. We are under attack and we must defend ourselves. It is time for justice, and war has now been declared.
No, we're not under attack. Dude. Oh, man. Politics has completely brain rotted the fuck out of people. That was Giovanni Vinci. What or Fabian Eichner, whatever you want to refer to him as. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? No, there is no war. Again, it goes right back to what I'm saying, bro. Stop making politics your identity. What happened to Charlie sucks. What happened to Charlie is horrible. Let the authorities deal with that. You know, one of the things, and I think I've been really following that guy Asmongold for a while now, a couple of weeks actually, right? And he's been having some really, really fucking solid takes. Even takes that I look at what I've been saying for the longest, and I had to almost redefine to a certain degree, right? Not really get away from, but just reshape. So one of the things that Asmongold said that I absolutely agree with, he said free speech should be given to those, as far as reciprocating, to those who believe in free speech. Don't let others use free speech in order to weaponize against you. If you feel it's necessitated to attack them when they say something deplorable, then do it. Why? Because that's how they act. If they do it, you give them a taste of their own medicine. You fight fire with fire, but not literal fire with literal fire, Giovanni Vinci. This is what I'm saying, bro. Everybody is so brain rotted today, man. No, there is no war. A retaliation, all it does is ask for another retaliation back, and then a retaliation again, and then another retaliation. That's how gangs start. That's how violence actually starts. That's how you start a legitimate civil war. No, you see people out there who are celebrating Charlie's death or whatever, and you feel so strongly about it, go after their jobs. I'm absolutely done. I'm done. Like Asmongold said, I absolutely agree with this. I'm done giving an olive branch to people that wouldn't extend that same olive branch to me. I'm not going to put my life on the line as far as what I'm going to do to answer or respond, but I think the same people who will go after you for something as innocuous as calling a man a woman or a woman a man, they will go after your job. You have people who are in HR departments that are completely taken over by the left. I think you should respond in the same way. Don't put your life on the line. Don't put your freedom on the line. Don't do what Giovanni Vinci is telling you to do. No. Go after their jobs. They would have went after your job. Go after their jobs. Only respect free speech for people who actually legitimately respect free speech. Don't give it to the people who have the double standards and the hypocrisy to use it against you, but then say, oh, cancel culture all of a sudden, huh? I thought you guys were so against cancel culture. No, these people are for cancel culture. These people are for going out of their way and ruining your lives because of what they deem hate speech in regards to your rhetoric. So what you should do in response is respond in kind. You want this whole thing to stop as far as going after advertisers, as far as going after people's workplaces, as far as doxing people. You want that behavior to stop? Well, let's start with you stopping, and then I stop in retaliation to you stopping. But if this is the game that you want to play, well then when you go out of your way to celebrate a man's death, this is just me, the appropriate response should be, okay, fine, let's do what you would have done, and let me just dial this number here, and let's pull up, oh, let's see, you work at this establishment, you're doing this type of job, okay, boom, let's get you out of that position. There's got to be some kind of consequences administered as far as these people are aware, right? Like, this is how you need to respond to these people. Fuck all that cancel culture, no. Freedom of speech. That type of behavior only given to those who give it to you in kind. Don't let up on these people's necks who say things like this. Do not listen to Giovanni Vinci. He is a retard. Go after the people directly where it hurts without hurting them physically or hurting yourself. What a dumbass thing Giovanni Vinci said.
What's the difference between a baby and a feminist?
What?
At some point, a baby will grow up and stop crying.
Finally, on a somewhat lighter note, I guess, at least it's not dealing with death. Fuck, that's our standard nowadays. If you guys remember, earlier this week, Steven Richards had some words about Kyle Fletcher's performance in AEW, and now he feels that Kyle Fletcher, if he really, really wants to make the most out of his career, should probably go to WWE, more in particular NXT, and he should hone his craft there, reshape his craft there, right? And a lot of people, more in particular on the AEW side, came after Steven Richards, and they said a bunch of deplorable things about him, which is their right. I understand. I get it. You're in your feelings because they went after your favorite company, or he went after your favorite company. I mean, not really. He just went after your favorite company as far as the training processes that go down there. He even went out of his way to put over a Dean Malenko and a Jerry Lynn. But because of the environment that Kyle Fletcher happens to be in, and because he's so young, Steven Richards would like to see his career extended a little bit more longer by working in a correct manner, and he can only get that working in an environment like WWE that doesn't promote that type of behavior that AEW typically promotes when it comes to their wrestling. That's all Steven Richards said. And like I said, a lot of people said a bunch of deplorable things about Steven Richards, really undermined this man's career, especially when Steven Richards, again, go look at his Right to Censor career, rather than constantly having to focus on the minimalistic things. You should focus on what Steven Richards has actually done that was, the biggest thing of his entire career. And again, they just went out of the way to ignore that and focus on all these other small things, which I argue some of the small things that Steven Richards has done eclipse some of the wrestlers who talked about his career, looking at you, Don Callis, and of course, obviously, the fans in themselves, as far as what they actually provided to the wrestling business. Well, Kyle Fletcher has finally responded to Steven Richards. He said, and I quote, "I think a lot of people on Twitter or whatever will just look at that one clip that gets posted. I went and I watched the full thing, everything that he said. I'm open to any and all critiques. That is fine. I'm in a world where everyone is allowed to have an opinion. He has an opinion on who I am and what I am as a wrestler, and that's fine. It doesn't feel like it's in good faith, if that makes sense. I think a lot of guys, they just look for the buzzwords and look for the things that are going to get clicks or whatever. I don't think he spoke a lot about what the culture is at AEW. I don't think he knows anything about the culture at AEW. He said, there's no one there for me to learn from. I think that's absolute fucking horseshit," which, by the way, he didn't say that. Again, he put over Dean Malenko and Jerry Lynn, but continuing on. "I am learning from people every single day that I'm here. There's so many great minds there. There's Bryan Danielson there almost every week. I'm open to criticism. I just don't think it was in the best faith. But no ill will. I'm open to critique at any and all times. I'm 26 years old. I'm still trying to learn this business. I have a lot more room to grow, for sure." And mind you, Kyle is entitled to his opinion. You know what I mean? Again, I don't think he watched the full video with an open mind. I think he was maybe a little bit offended, and that kind of clouded his judgment, which I think that would typically do for most people, right? If someone's going after you or if they're insulting you, you're never going to clearly look at it, at least at face value at first. I mean, some people will, some people won't. I would think the majority of people, if someone is attacking you in any wish, shape, or form, or whatever the means may be, you may look at that and initially you may just say to yourself, "Oh, I'm not going to listen to this guy," or it's going to be a lot harder to take their criticism and actually reflect off of it, right? But what Steven Richards actually said, once again, was the environment. You may say that the environment or the culture in particular within AEW is a good thing. I don't think, once again, that's what Steven Richards was talking about. In context, what Steven Richards is referencing is the type of matches that AEW has on a consistent basis, the type of style throughout the card that you guys typically engage with on a consistent basis. And he also noted how young you are. That's what Steven Richards is more so focused on. He wants to see your career extended. And if you're going to be following people, you say Bryan Danielson. Okay, look at Bryan Danielson right now. He's only in his early 40s and his career is pretty much over for the most part. You highlighted that as your example. You know, you look at the bumps you guys take compared to the bumps that WWE guys take. You may sit here and you may say that the style and the pacing for AEW is a lot more entertaining, which it is, right? And for the majority of people, that's what they typically like to engage with. More power to them. But what Steven Richards is saying is within WWE, it might be more boring to most people as far as the AEW fans are considered, or the hardcore fans, on a more consistent basis. But the payoff typically is more than what AEW has done in a year combined, compared to one angle WWE can pay off with just one setting going into a pay-per-view or at a pay-per-view. He wants you to hone in on your trade, to have the ability to tell a story to eventually get to that point. So your body can be straight. You can actually live out your years actively. You don't have to rely on taking a bump to get a pop. That is the good faith interpretation that I took from it. Steven Richards did not actively bury you. Steven Richards did not actively attack you, like how the AEW fans, once again, within that community, within that echo chamber, where everything and anything that goes against the means is actually offensive. Steven Richards did not attack you as a performer necessarily, outside of just suggesting the fact that you should go to NXT for nothing more than to just suggest that you should slow down. That's it. That's all he's saying. Slow down. Slow down, and you can only get that kind of psychology going to WWE versus being in AEW when no one in that environment that you can listen to will tell you to slow down. Hence why they left WWE to go to AEW. In the case of Bryan Danielson, because he wanted to do more. But guess what? Bryan Danielson is in his early 40s. He left to AEW in his late 30s. He can afford to do that. You're 26. You're still at the prime of your career. You can't afford that. That's all Steven Richards was saying. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below in regards to how you feel about today's topics. Love to hear your opinions in regards to the situation with Steven Richards and Kyle Fletcher. I want to hear your take as far as Giovanni Vinci believing that we need to go to war for some fucking reason on behalf of someone who he doesn't know, but at the same time should show empathy towards, but again, not going to war on behalf of someone, especially when it could just be a retaliation in regards to you wanting to go to war. It's stupid. Or how do you feel about, obviously, the situation as far as JD being put into another stupid situation because fans can't get out of their echo chamber as far as how they think for any situation, and more importantly, Ava Raine, or Ava, excuse me. Empathy, folks. Feelings. Say kind words. How do you feel about that? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, my name is Devontae, aka Millennial Smart, and I'll be catching you guys later. What a somber video. What a somber video. A deuces and a pea. Ice.